Baruch here with genConnect.com, and I am joined today by an incredible man, David Gergen.
Good to see you, Baruch.
Good to see you, too.
Everybody's been waiting for you. You just arrived.
Oh, please.
Well, everybody, all the millennials are saying, "Where's Baruch? Where's Baruch?"
Oh,
I'm
my
glad
God.
you're here.
Well, thank you for that tweet. That was very sweet of you.
Great, okay.
And I'm glad that we're making this an annual tradition.
I hope you'll be here many more years. But
Me
you need
too.
to go to business school.
Fine. So, a year ago, we were talking about the upcoming presidential election at the time, and we were talking about the importance of youth engagement.
Right.
Looking back now, was it what you expected?
No, I think it surprised everybody. The youth engagement, the youth turnout was much higher than people expected. Particularly the minority turnout, the women's turnout, but the millennial turnout, all of that was a total surprise to everybody, including the Romney campaign. The night of the election, they had one statement drawn up, a victory statement. They never thought about preparing a defeat statement because they thought they were going to win. And they didn't expect all those young people to turn out.
Where do you think they missed the ball?
I don't think they were anywhere near as in touch with the youth psyche, what the zeitgeist of the millennial generation. And many more people. If you looked at the Obama campaign, I went out to their headquarters, and you just had acres and acres of desks, all filled with people you went to college with, or young people who are they're very excited. Most of them had been in one campaign, so they were experienced, but they were also still had all that vitality and idealism of youth.
And what role do you think social media played in all this? You yourself have become quite the social media guru. You've exploded on Twitter, made big on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
What do you think that role?
I think social media did help to mobilize. I think it did help them to connect up. But I have to tell you, there's something else. The social research that went in was very smart too. It's called behavioral research, and there's a book by Cass Sunstein at Harvard called Nudge, and it represents a lot of the new behavioral work that's going on. You see it in economics, but now you're seeing it in social science, and they learned how to message in ways that were really persuasive. Instead of calling young people and saying, "By God, the country's fate hinges on you. You've got to get out," and trying to shame people into vote. The research says that doesn't work. And instead, what the Obama campaign said, everybody's going out. It's going to be a great party. You've got to come out and join up. People love it. They want to be part of something like that.
How about polling? Nate Silver said yesterday that he thinks polling is going to be done a little bit differently moving forward, especially since so many people don't have phones at home.
The question is Nate Silver the new George Gallup, right? He's gotten it right the last two elections. So from now on, everybody's going to look, and they'll look at the polls, and then they'll look at Nate Silver and said, "I probably ought to go with Nate Silver."
And so is that your prediction?
I think this guy, the really interesting question is, you can do it once and everybody thinks maybe it's a fluke. He did it 2 elections in a row.
Right.
And when that happens, you have to say, he's really onto something. He's serious. And he's someone, what I'm impressed about it is when you do polling, it's often like pushing buttons and you don't really talk to people. I mean, he actually studies. He gets down in the weeds and tries to understand what he's seeing. And there's judgment exercised by what he does.
Approaching 2016, a lot of people say there's no use in speculating. There's a lot more pieces that can still have to move. What are the constructive conversations we should be having right now?
Well, I think right now maybe we'll get an immigration bill done. It's still, I think, an uphill fight. And maybe we'll get some more. But I think by and large, we're going to be looking at 3 more years in Washington in which very little fundamental is going to get done. So from my point of view, the next 3 years, we shouldn't just spend waiting for Washington. Instead, young people, in particular millennials, need to get out. Get out in their communities, get out in the arena, in the local city, the local community, the neighborhood, and change things. And you can see it happening in New Orleans. We just had Mitchell Andrew here talking about it. You can see it in New York City. I mean, things have changed miraculously in a lot of parts of New York now. It's that as a New Yorker. You see it in Boston. People are moving to cities. A lot of young people want to live in cities. They weren't willing to do it for a while because they couldn't find schools, for their kids. And now you've got charter schools. You've got some choices that you can go and that's persuading them to stay. I think the future of this generation is going to be much more city oriented. And for me, get out there in those cities and change them.
David Gergen, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay,
and for more with David Gergen, be sure to check out genConnect.com.